You're tuned in to the hottest Christian radio station worldwide.
Oklahoma's #1 Christian internet radio station.
WBDH Radio. Keep it locked right here, 24/7.
You are listening to an exclusive artist interview right here.
WBDH Radio.
Stay tuned in for an exclusive word from the best and brightest artists and ministers in gospel music.
Even in family, when it comes to ministry, how's that balance out? So those are some of the things we just want to touch on real quick. We won't keep you tied up all day. We just want to keep you for the next couple of hours. No, I'm just kidding, man.
You said hours. Wait a minute.
Yeah, but no, we just want to keep you for a few minutes, man, to just not only congratulate you on the book, but we just really want to let people know, man, that they really need to purchase this book. They really need to, or why they need to purchase it. So, and how it's going to really help them, not just with relationships, but just in ministry itself as well.
I got a chance to read your synopsis of the book, and it seems like it's going to be a pretty good book. Although we didn't get a copy, but I did read the synopsis, man. You did a great job. It sounds like you did a great job on that. Who published it for you?
It's called Christian Faith Publishing out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you know what? I just hooked up with them. For my book, and I talked to some lady just the other day. So mine should be finished by the end of the year.
Yeah. I was up late one night, and the commercial came on. If you're a Christian author and want to get your book published, so I just took the number down, and I think that because I had the book already. So the thing is whether you want to invest in it, because it cost me like a little over $3,000. I could have got it cheaper, but this company is distributed through a major distribution of books, so they put it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Right.
So all right, here we go. We on beat.
Okay.
Welcome back. That was not strong enough. We want to welcome our guests on this evening or this afternoon, Bishop Dr. Kenneth Wells, phenomenal pastor, phenomenal bishop, phenomenal. He's also a phenomenal radio announcer, DJ in the city of industry in California, where I'm actually from. I'm still a Cali boy. I don't care what y'all say. I'm still a Cali boy. I don't care what Georgia talking about. I ain't never going to switch up to Georgia like, what is it? But we just want to welcome him today, being our special guest here on the On Point radio show with your host, Elder Byron Herndon, and myself, Pastor Kenny Smith. Welcome, Bishop. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you, man. Thank y'all for having me, man, being on the other side of the mic.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome.
Is that weird or what? Does that feel kind of? Well, it should be, man. I don't know, man. Because when you're in service, you're still the pastor, you're still the bishop, so you're still on the speaking in. So, how's it feel to be interviewed this time?
Man, I love it, and I love sharing, so I don't have a problem with it. I'm good.
I'm glad to hear it, man. Definitely glad to hear it. Well, we want to get into this book, man. This is an awesome book, and we're just, excited about what God is doing in your life. We just really want to know what inspired you. Yeah, let me just ask that. What inspired you to actually write it? Let's just start off with that.
Well, it's really crazy because I started writing it about 10 years ago, and I was just kind of like writing some of my pains and just how I felt. Later on I just started putting more and more stuff, in it. And I just, go ahead.
Wow. Awesome.
And I just started, just writing my just how I felt, and I just said, I need to share this, with some people. And I'm going to tell you, when I first started writing the book, I had to take a whole lot of stuff out because at first I was writing in anger and hurt. And then God told me, he said, no, I can't, let you let that out. So I had to pretty much take a lot of stuff out. And I just asked God, Lord, show me how this book can be a blessing to people. So for those who don't know, the book is called When Perfect Is Not. And my whole goal in the 22 years of marriage at the time, because I've been married like over 30 years. But
congrats, man, congrats.
Over 30 years. But my whole goal was, man, I wanted to, I always wanted to be the best father, the best husband, just the best, because I came out of a dysfunctional family. And I just said, man, I never want to come up in this environment. So, I went 22 years, being faithful to my wife. Now, notice that I said I went 22 years being faithful to my wife, and I said I'm married for 30 years.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
After.
All right, young man.
So, that was just one of my goals. And then when I actually, found out that my wife had her first affair, I think it was like 6 years into our marriage, I was like really, really messed up over that. And then she had made a promise to me that she would never, ever do it again. Now, we weren't pastors at the time, then we became pastors later. And then later on, I think in 2008 or something like that, found out that she ended up having another affair. So I'm still, at one point, though, I had stopped writing the book, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't finish it. And then I realized later that, well, probably because the book is not complete. I still have more things to write. So everything comes out, that she had multiple affairs. And my world is just absolutely rocked, y'all. Pastoring, bishop, first lady, and I'm just, this is supposed to happen to other people because, at least I stand up against this stuff, and then when it hits me in my face and I have to deal with it. And the book basically comes from the point where when you decide that you still want to make it, so the book ain't talking about all the more so drama part. It's more so about how we can survive in this. Okay. Now, I'm still talking about the pain. There's some chapters in it. Let me see. Let me grab the book. Because sometimes when I read this book, y'all, I can't even believe that I wrote this book. I'm like, Lord, who is this that wrote this book?
I know how that is. The same thing with me with writing songs. And I go back and I listen to songs, and I'm like, did I write that? Because when it hits you differently. It's like it's hitting you as the receiver, not the one who's actually doing the giving. So I hear you.
Right. So
I'm saying.
Huh?
I said I hear you too, man. I ran into the same problem and I'm just writing a book of memoirs, and I've got over 900 pages. I have to delete a lot of those pages out.
Right. So my first chapter is called The Confession. The second chapter is called What Do I Confess? The third chapter is why did you do it? I asked the question, why you do it. These are the questions that people, they want to know.
Right.
Chapter 4 is why didn't I see it coming? Chapter 5 is the affair and the cheating. Let's deal with affair and the cheating. Then number 6 is the pain. And I think I really like, verse 6 because chapter 6 because, a lot of times people will tell you, well, it's been 6 months and you ought to be over it, and I tell people,
right. Okay.
And, here's the thing is people ask me, they say, and it's been, since the confession, I think it's been about 7 years now that my wife confessed to me everything, okay? So, and people will ask me, they say, even now, well, how long did it take you to heal? And my answer to them is this: I'll tell you when I heal.
That's a good answer. That's a real good answer.
That's a good answer.
Because there's some things that happen to us. I don't care whether you're in the church. I don't care whether you spirit-filled, baptized, and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. There's some stuff that hits you in your gut, and it's hard to deal with, you know.
Right.
And mine is the reverse side because I'm the man. But it really is hard for me to get over it because I really loved my wife. So some people, you know, they can get over it because they didn't have a strong love. But when you really love somebody with your whole heart and then they break it, you know, it's not easy. And then you got to try to rebuild the trust, you know, and that really takes some time, you know. So,
can I interject here? See, what you just said right there, though, Bishop, you said because the fact that the roles have turned or in reverse, that it is now the man who's actually hurt, who's been cheated on. A lot of times people fail to realize that people in general, you know, go through emotions, and there are a lot of men out there who may camouflage the hurt, that have been hurt by infidelity or, you know, or cheating, or, you know, marriages that, you know, they suffer situations like that. And see, I've been through the same thing myself. You know, a lot of people don't know. I went through that. So I understand the drama, you know, the roller coaster of the emotion. But, you know, as men, we're taught to basically bury our emotions, bury our feelings. You got to remain strong. You got to put up a good front, whatever, you know, whoop-de-whoop. But the bottom line is we experience these emotions doing, and it's not about a man versus woman issue. It's the fact that everybody goes through a hurt that's challenging, and a lot of times it's hard to shake that emotion. It's hard to shake that feeling. It's hard to, and especially when you look at the offender, whomever it is, you look at that, and the first thing, and we're going to keep it 100, the first thing in your mind is the offense. That's the first thing you remember when you see that individual, whether it be male or female. All you remember as a human is that you hurt me. And it's hard, you know, to have to work through the situation. You know, I've had people say the same thing. Well, man, are you good now? You know, it's hard to ask somebody if they're good. If you've never experienced it, you can't sit up there and say, well, I know how you feel. No, you don't.
Right.
You know, that's like somebody saying, you know, telling someone whose mother has passed and your mother's still alive. Really?
Right.
You don't know how it works. You know, so that's what we're dealing. You know, that what people have to understand, that that's what you do. And then when you're in leadership like that, it's hard to really maintain that quality of leadership because people even in your ministry will start questioning, and especially if they find out little things here and there or whatever, they'll start questioning your leadership. They'll start questioning your emotions. You know, then you got those vultures out there who try to move in. You know, I had to deal with that too. All of that.
And it does. It really does affect your ministry because, you know, for years, man, I dealt. I was preaching in pain. Right. You know, and you know how they say that, you know, you put on the mask and all that kind of stuff. And,
right.
You know, I mean, I was just preaching, and then one day I had one of my friends who is an evangelist. He came to me while I was sitting in the pulpit, and he told me, he says, man, he says, the spirit that is on you has affected your church, you know. And I was just like, wow, you know. So I really, really had to really go before God and tell God, you know, I need you to really work on me, you know. But it really does affect you, you know. There's something that I really wanted to address, though, and this is something that I hear a lot of people say, you know, you don't tell all. And that's one thing. I'm a very transparent person. A lot of my friends can't believe that I even wrote the book, you know.
I was shocked.
You know, and you know, and it puts my wife in an uncomfortable position, but she's, you know, like, she's understanding. She read the book and she said, you know what, you didn't dog me out, and I'm kind of like, you know what, really, I didn't write the book to dog you out. I'm kind of trying to use our experiences to help people,
to help somebody else,
to get over it. You know? But what I got a chapter in there called The Confession, and here's the thing: is should we tell all? If you have ever offended someone and you really want God to really bless your relationship, you got to come clean. You have to tell all. You know, And we dealt with that. My wife ended up, it took me a while and it took a long time for her to get the guts to just tell me everything. But, okay, from her first affair, I just knew she had cheated. But then, after the second, third, fourth, after that, I kind of, I did not know all of this. And here's what I'm saying. You know that old saying that what you don't know won't hurt you?
Right.
I put a line in the book that says that what you don't know can kill you.
Can kill you, yeah.
Because if I would have known the state of where my wife was, I could have dealt with her differently.
Right.
I didn't know that she really had these issues. So therefore, I was giving her too much liberty. She's a renowned gospel singer. She was traveling and all this kind of stuff. And if I'd have known that, I was putting her in a setup or allowing her to be in a setup because I just didn't know where she was. So if she ever would have came to me clean and let me know, look, this is where I am, this is what I did, I just brushed it off, and didn't know how bad it was, So it's kind of like confession. When you confess, you can't play with it. You got to tell, this is where I am and I'm sorry. So I want to know everything. And, some people just, they don't want to know. Well, when I sat down with my wife, I told her, I want to know everything. I want to know how many people, how many times, and all that. Now, I didn't get into the crazy stuff about, what positions and all that, but I needed to know, how many times, where, all this kind of stuff, because that showed me her state of where she was.
Right.
And because now I see where her state is, I'm like, wait, I got to do something about this. Let's stop this, So a lot of times,
I got a quick question. Now, Bishop, now I know even though a lot of people being in ministry did that when that spirit, you never got a clue when that spirit, how you can tell in your household how different spirits are attracted to your household.
Well,
did you ever?
You know how the Bible says that love beareth all things, hopeth all things, and all that. I did have a couple of people come and ask me because they kind of knew what was going on, and I was like, "No, we good. I love my wife and all that." I didn't know that they were trying to hint to me and all that kind of stuff. Now, as far as the spirit part of it, here's the crazy part. Is the two times that it was revealed spirit. My wife never came and told me I got something to tell you. Okay? The first time the spirit revealed to me. The second time I was in my sleep and the Lord woke me up out of my sleep and said, Your wife cheated, and showed me the scenario. He said, when you turn on the light, she's gonna wake up. And you just address it. And when I turned on the light, she popped up. And my heart started beating because I'm like, Lord, everything that you're telling me is going to happen is happening, and she ended up confessing to me again, So I knew something wasn't right, but like I said, I didn't know that side. My wife, first of all, and let me put this disclaimer out to, we went and got counseling, and I recommend counseling for everybody. I don't care how spiritual you are, I'm a bishop. And we went and we got some counseling. I didn't go and get no counseling from church folk. I went and got some a guy. He was a born again believer, but he was a professional, life coach, and he really pulled some great things out of both of us, So, but I just. It was a crazy, crazy thing. What was I saying before that? I got all excited.
Hold your thought. If you can, let me do this. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. You are listening to On the Point Radio broadcast show with your host, Elder Byron Herndon and Pastor Kenny Smith, and our guest today, yes, Bishop Kenneth Wells from the greater empire of California, and he's our host today, and that's what you're listening to. And so y'all keep tuning in, and if you know somebody who needs to hear this, if you know somebody who is suffering in a relationship or having some issues, tell them to tune in, because this is definitely some good food, some word of encouragement that will bless your spirit. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I had to do that. I had to let them know they are tuned into the right station.
and we're gonna play it back. We're gonna play this back on both stations, so they get a chance to hear it on both stations at different times. And you know.
Yeah.
So they're gonna do it on Facebook Audio live afterwards also. So people want to hear it. They want to hear it. This is some good stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The book is called When Perfect Is Not. Again, the book is called When Perfect Is Not. The author is Bishop or Dr. Kenneth Wells. So y'all purchase this book. I'm telling you, some good information in there that would bless you. I can definitely brag about it and speak about it because I purchased mine. Yes, I did.
Watch out.
Yes, indeed. So I can stick my chest out a little bit. And besides, this is my brother, a beloved brother, and I'm telling you, you guys that are listening, this man is definitely, he knows what he's talking about. And I can vouch for what he's saying because I've had my own issues. Some of you out there that know something about my personal life, y'all know I went through the same thing. So go ahead, Bishop. Did you find your thought?
Yeah, Byron asked the question that I kind of know that the Spirit revealed. And I did know that something wasn't right, but because the cover-up, my wife was just a wonderful wife. She played the part, of a perfect wife, a perfect first lady, just like when men do it. You got men who are able to, cover up. And she just covered up her ground real good. So I really, even if I thought something, I just didn't see anything, So when the Spirit revealed it to me, it was nothing that I can do, but deal with it, There's one thing that I wanted to say, though, as far as, and I like how you used the word, Kenny. You said the offender, and that's the word that I use in the book, that the offender. I want anyone who has offended or done anything to offend in infidelity, I want you to know I call this thing called the burden of proof, or the burden, you now take on the burden to bring forth healing to that person that you've offended. So a lot of times people, they get real cocky and don't think that they need to do something. Let me tell you, the very person that hurt you is the person that needs to heal you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So my wife has a burden now that she has to really show me, because she has wounded me, that she really wants this marriage and bring healing to me. And that's a very important factor that people have to realize, that it takes work. You just can't brush it up under the rug. You have to answer questions. And even if, like with my wife, I drilled my wife so many times, and I think I asked her some of the same questions over and over because it was so unbelievable to me, and she would answer the questions. I was just like, why? Well, what was going on with you? And some things she just couldn't give me an answer to, and being a man of God, that really helped me because I knew the word. I knew the cause of whatever it was just a simple 3-letter word called sin. So it didn't matter, what she would have said, whatever the cause was, it was just sin. And there's an old saying that sin will take you somewhere that you really didn't intend to go, and it'll keep you there longer than you expected to be there.
And to kill you.
So I understand when it boils down to it. So my disappointment, Kenny, is this: I'm really disappointed that my wife allowed sin, because she's a woman of God and she's supposed to have the power over sin. I was disappointed that she allowed sin to do that to her.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it's still, she is great now. She's moving in her ministry, but our past is still a part of the portrait of our life. So when I think about that, it kind of like really messes me up. Yes, she's great now, but when I got to think about these 18 years of infidelity, it's kind of like, that really messes me up, and I know that that's not where she is now, know. So,
can I ask this question? Because I know a lot of times, and I'm quite sure a lot of our viewers are probably, in the back of their mind, they want to know, well, how did she get to this point? What is it that may have drove her to that point? Because a lot of times people will say, well, they didn't get there, but it was something must have happened, blah, blah, blah. You know the story. Everybody wants to have a reason or an scapegoat to make excuses for for the sin, as opposed to just, because the Bible does tell us to be angry, but sin not. Still, I mean, you may be angry about an issue, but that doesn't mean that you trade sin for sin. And that's a lot of times we mess up. And the people in the body of the Most High, we fail to realize that people are going to offend us every day. But it's not an excuse for us to be offensive, to go back and, take an eye for an eye. But I know that there are those that are out there saying, well, what made her get to that point? What drove her to that point? Is it something you've done, or is it something Eve done? Is it something that happened? And a lot of times for us as pastors, they blame it on, people will blame it on the ministry. Well, you're too much in the church, or you're busy in the church.
Yeah. Well, no, that's one thing. It definitely wasn't our ministry. My wife has a balanced part. Like I said, yes, she was first lady. She did that wonderfully. She did mothering wonderfully. And, she sang with a famous gospel group that traveled the whole world.
Yeah,
and, When
awesome woman. I'm telling you, y'all, let me tell you something. His wife ain't no joke. She is totally a beast, really. And I don't mean that I'm saying this girl got mad skills. She got mad vocals, and I love her ministry. And when she was with the artist, I guess we won't mention names unless you want to mention the name that she was with. It was a lot of them in that.
I got his music. I don't mention that. I got his music.
Yeah, it was a lot of them in there, and she was one of them. She was a primary vocalist, and now I believe she has her solo project out now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so with that being said, y'all, you really, really need to check out. And I bet you 10 to 1 you will hear not only the conviction even in her ministry, but I really believe that this woman is a powerful woman of God. And so a lot of times we forget about the part of forgiveness. And I'm people, period. Now, we forget about that part of it. All we, again, like we said earlier, we see is the offense, but you fail to realize there was a man hung on the cross for our sins. He was hung up for all of our hang-ups. What if he said, you know what, I'm cool. I ain't forgiving nobody because I didn't have to go through this. But I did. I took on the sins of the world just to give you an opportunity to be, to have a relationship with the Father. So if I can do that and I can forgive you, who are we not to be put in that position also to be forgiven? A lot of times we're going to experience hurt, but we've got to learn how to show that compassion. If we say we about this life, a lot of times it's hard when you're going through the hurt. But when you say you're about this life, you have to push through that. You have to push through the hurt. And, and this book that you've written, I really believe it's going to help a lot of people because this is real talk. This is real family. This is real ministry right here. Yeah. This is stuff that a lot of ministries won't touch on. They'll try to sweep it under the carpet. But when you really think about it, that's the place to talk about it. That's the place to heal it. The head goes through issues just like the rest of the body, and people don't understand. We have our issues just like everyone else, sometimes more drastic than others. The only difference between you and them, Bishop, is that you're on a platform, and your life is basically exposed. And because there are certain things that happen in your life that can't be covered up a lot of times, and no matter how clever, we may try to be to cover our issues, but it comes out, especially if you're a man that's used by the Most High. If your spirit is strong, if the ruach in your life is that strong, and I really believe it is, it'll come out. Like that man walking up to you in the pulpit and telling you, look, your spirit, man, because, the Bible tells us that light and darkness have no fellowship. When you're in, when anger is kicking in and you're looking, you want to be vindictive. I want blood. I want some arms to fall off. I want eyes to come out. I want all these things that happen to you, but you can't, and you can't.
Right.
Now, can I say something real quick? See, now the good thing about this, Bishop, is that you did not see, from what you haven't said, you did not see divorce as an issue. As you didn't see divorce as part of that factor. Because I noticed you haven't said anything about that yet. I don't know if it's in the book or not, but you did not say divorce is going to be a factor in what we're doing, what is going on. And that's a good thing. That's what a lot of couples, especially younger couples that's trying to live that long couple, that's what they need to see. And they need to hear, because I was just telling somebody earlier, a lot of marriages don't even get past 5 years.
Yeah. And
so
and the crazy thing about our situation is, I kind of felt like, we too far into our marriage to even have to deal with this. Now, I'd be willing to deal with it our first 2 years, but we going into our 20 and our 30 years. It's like, come on now, we shouldn't be dealing with this. Now, I do want to put this out there. I did retaliate after 22 years. When I found out then, it really messed with me mentally, and my man, my ego was crushed,
Right.
And I did step out, but, it was just 30 days. I got scared. I was scared that God was going to kill me, but I'm going to tell you, it really messed with me to the point where, and here's where I was in that thinking was, I'd been faithful to my wife, and she didn't appreciate the trophy, so I'm going to give the trophy away, and it was the dumbest thing that I ever done. So retaliation, it does not help, and I got that in the book. It doesn't make sense to even do it.
It's not an answer. It's not the right answer.
It's not the right answer, and especially if you are walking with God, it does nothing for your spirit.
Right.
So that's why I was able to, or didn't do it for a long time. But you had asked the question, what triggered it? Why did she do that? And the crazy thing is let me tell you, this music industry, whether it's gospel, because the gospel music industry sometimes can be as bad as the secular side.
You better say that again, Bishop. Say it again, because that's the truth.
And a lot of times, if when I sent my wife out or I released her to go out, if there was some real men of God with integrity, it wouldn't have been an issue, because what she said was one of her answers, and it was probably about the only answer, because it wasn't because of me. She just basically said, I got caught up. And what she got caught up with was some of these gospel artists and some of these pastors getting in her head, telling her how beautiful she was, and then coming on to her and not respecting that she was a married woman.
Right. And it happens, especially in this industry.
Yeah.
I got some stories.
So it's kind of like, man, I'm so disappointed in the industry because there was no men of integrity.
In there.
People that we play their music, we give them Stellar Awards, we give them Grammys, but they're scandalous and their lives are wretched. That's
why I really believe, Bishop, that the Father is bringing up a whole new nation of artists who are completely sold out to Him and not to the fame or the status of being an artist. They forget, the word says your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. It's not to get up there and it's up there. You get up there and you're supposed to bring a word. It's like I say all the time, even with Wanda, I'm like, your gift is going to make room for you and bring you before great men. But what are you going to say when you get there? It's about making sure that the ministry is proclaimed. The word is proclaimed when you get in these platforms, but they get into it's all about me stuff. And see, this could be a whole nother conversation, so I don't want to get too far off in this, but I can see how things happen, and you can get caught up. And it doesn't mean that she is a person, it just means that sometimes you get caught in the current, and a lot of times you can't find your way out of the current. You know, so, and it takes someone else who's supposed to be solid or secure, who may be on our side, to pull you out, you know. But a lot of times we rebel. We don't want to hear it because we like where we are, or the situation, you know, the flesh, it feels good, blah, blah, blah. And I don't mean the infidelity. I'm just talking about the status or the notoriety of being here, being there, and everybody this. And you get caught up in the current, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I've made up in my mind this time around, even as myself, you know, that I have to trust God for every move, and I've got to seek him on everything that I get involved in, period. And then I've got to surround myself with people with integrity, like you said, who can say, hey, look, Pastor, this is not a good move. Hey, Pastor, don't go there. You know, hey, Pastor, don't let that woman smile in your face too hard, blah, blah, blah. You know, these kind of things. I mean, I've had situations, man, what I've had, and I'm just being transparent now, I've had people, I go up to my room when I'm in, you know, if I'm traveling and I'm at a guest at a certain state, I'm not going to mention any names, and, you know, you got women in your room before you even get there. I'm like, what is this? What is this? You know, when you think about it, this is supposed to be gospel. We're supposed to be representing the body, the kingdom of God. What is this?
Right.
You know, Brother Kenny, both kiddies, you know, that one of the things is that people forget. I don't care if it's in the secular or if it's in the Christian industry. One of the things they forget, they put the me in it. They don't look at we're sold out for Christ. And if they did, then like you said, Bishop, if they were really, really sold out for Christ, it should not have been an issue.
Well, because a lot of people in the industry, let's just be real transparent, and we're going to get back to this real quickly before our time runs out. A lot of people that are in the gospel industry ain't people that are saved. These are people that's just doing business. Because that's basically what it was transferred to me. It's a business. And a lot of people that are in this industry on the gospel side aren't people of integrity, aren't people that if you want to call a Christian, they're not. They're just in it for the money and for the notoriety. That's it. And I'm just being real transparent about it, and people need to accept the fact that that's what's really going on. That's why a lot of times you don't see a lot of your really hardcore people who really live in this life or really about this life in the gospel really get to that status because of the people that are already taking over. It's a business for them. So I'm going to just leave that alone, but I can understand, Bishop, in the point that you're making about, you know, since she was caught up. It's easy. I know. I've been in that industry. I'm still in that industry. I know how easy it can, and how crazy it can get real fast. Fast. It can get like, but then we have to understand the spirit that conducts this particular genre or this industry. Period. You know, everything is supernatural. We got to remember that. You know, the Bible says that our weapons of warfare are not carnal, but of you know, and we have to fight, but you can't fight spiritual with carnal. You can't. You know? And that's a lot of times we get the mistake, and we try to, but we can't. You know, we have to. You got to have people praying for you while you're on the road. You got to have people praying for you with you while you're on the road. It's like it's a ministry. It's a battle. We're going to do war. So the enemy's going to touch on your emotions, going to touch on your flesh, going to touch on your pockets. All that comes in the you know. So,
and you know that's one thing that the enemy is here. He knows his job is here to kill, steal, and destroy. So he's gonna. It don't matter if you are a bishop, if you are the president of the best religious organization. You, as long as you're serving God, as long as you're in ministry, period, you're going to be messed with. It may be in that area. It may be in other areas of life that you're going to be messed with. But for sure, you're going to be messed with. But it's how strong, like Bishop is saying, you know, it's going to be how strong your faith is, how strong your ministry is to keep your marriage together, to keep, you know, to let the devil know, hey, you're not getting involved in this. You don't have any part of this. You know, we are servants of God, and we're going to fix it in the godly way. And so when I'm reading what you guys are talking about and what I read on the synopsis of the book, that's how you explain it in the book. That's what I'm getting.
Well, that's the triumph I see, Bishop, the fact that you've turned this situation to a good as opposed to a negative. And the triumph part about that is that how the both of you can come together and minister this to other couples who are hiding, maybe hiding issues of this sort or dealing with some emotional marital issues or whatever. This was a plus and definitely a win-win for both of you, especially in the spiritual realm, that God could take this whole thing and not only begin the healing, but the fact that you're exposing it, we already know it takes the power away from the enemy. And that's why I really encourage people to grab a hold of this book, and not just for the support of my brother, but just the fact that it is good food and it is helpful, especially in ministry. You may want to use this book to do counseling. You use this book, to help others, especially those of you who are in counseling ministries. This is a good book to have. This is a great weapon to use or to have in your arsenal, because I'm telling you, it will definitely help you bring healing. If it did it for them, guess what? The same God that's bringing them out, guess what? He'll bring you out. So again, the book is called When Perfect Is Not, and our guest today is Bishop Kenneth Wells, in the house. We thank him, for being on. So go ahead, Bishop. What else would you like to tell us before we wrap this up?
That's basically it. Get the book. It's a blessing. I've been hearing people say that this book is a manual for the healing process from infidelity.
I love that.
It's a great book. It's an easy read. Most people have read it within an hour and a half to 2 hours. They said it's so good that they can't put it down. But it gives you answers, what to do. It answers questions. I ask questions and I give the answers. So it's just really, really a great book. It was my prayer that God would give me something to help people, and I think the Holy Spirit did it. It's available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, BooksAMillion.com, pretty much wherever digital books are sold, iTunes.
Yeah, is there a hard copy?
When you I don't think they have it on downloads right now. So
yes, they do. They have a Kindle version, but I got the book. I encourage everybody, just get the book. Literally get the book, But they have a Kindle version. They have a Kindle version that you can purchase.
Yeah,
you have to get the app for it, though. But I just encourage folks to get the book, really, and just read it for yourself. I really believe, Bishop, that the Father chose you, for this particular assignment. And it may have hurt a lot, but I really believe He built you for that purpose. It's because He knew you would endure this no matter how much it hurt. You were built for this, because I know the triumph part about it is that both of you came out of this. You're still coming out of it, but the thing about it is He used you to put you in that platform to bring healing to other people. Sometimes we have to fall on the sword in a lot of cases, in a lot of situations that we may not want to, or it may feel good to us, but He's using us to help heal and bring others, to salvation, to bring healing or whatever. And but why me? Because a lot of times we go in the corner and we say, well, why me? What's wrong with me? It ain't nothing wrong with you. It ain't about why you. It's just that He chose you. So He complete that assignment. And I believe probably in the hands of somebody else may not have come off. It may not have come off like this. For you to be able to take this and make it a positive and being able to heal others, I believe it's a good thing. I really do, and I really appreciate your life and your wife's life, because both of you are very instrumental in ministry. You really are. And it just lets people know the realness, the reality of being transparent. I love when you said that. Being transparent is that the enemy doesn't have a hold, and he can't have a hold on you, because you're really being transparent and you're exposing the situation for what it is, and you're moving forward. You're not wobbling in the situation. Sometimes we do, and sometimes people keep reoccurring, but you choose to move forward. If you're going to use the tool, use it for ministry purposes like you have. I love that. I really do. Yeah. And I just encourage both.
Now, Bishop, are you doing any marriage counseling with your ministry at all?
Well, what I normally do with my ministry, I spend a lot of time with my couples, first of all. We meet every second Tuesday, and I'm there. My wife and I are there. We're spending time with them, and that is their counseling. So it's like it's so our 2 hours on Tuesdays, second Tuesdays, is so in depth. But if there's any time someone needs special counseling, I'll do one session with them, and if they really need counseling, I refer them to someone. Normally, it's the guy that counseled me and my wife. I sent him out.
Awesome. Now, is he in the Inland Empire?
Yeah.
Can I say this real quick? I don't want to be like hogging up all the show. Does it get real? Does it get real, Bishop? Do y'all get into some real? Does it get real talk up in there?
Oh yes, definitely. Because first, my church knows everything. I mean, we made sure that they understood. So, and plus, I'm just real open with them anyway.
Right.
And that was one of the things that even when I fell short, I went before my church. I didn't wait years. It was like a month later, and I came back and said, "Look, y'all, I'm sorry, I failed. Forgive me." And my church appreciated me coming clean. So that's just how I am. They know my heart, and they know that I'm genuine. But we're able to talk about any and everything, man. And I don't judge them. I'm here, to help them.
Right.
And I tell people this all the time, that you want to know your ministry. Your ministry is where you failed, or your ministry is where you were most hurt, or the craziest incident, like young women who've been raped. Well, their ministry is to deal with young women who have been raped, So,
right.
So now that this has happened, I really have a passion for couples. And I understand that God uses and illustrates marriage. He calls himself the husbandman. He calls the church the bride,
Right.
So that goes to show us that God is really serious about marriage. And now I see the importance about people staying together in marriage because it's important to God. The first miracle that Jesus did was at a wedding,
Yep.
So, it's really important. And, I was going to say something else, but it slipped my mind. I don't know. Go ahead, ask another question. Talk about so many things here, man.
Well, that's all right. The main thing is the fact that having you on this broadcast today has really been a blessing to us all.
Wait, Kenny.
And all, especially those who are out there listening. Thank you, radio listeners who are out there and are tuned in to this broadcast this afternoon. And I really pray that this has been helpful for you, truly, especially those of you who feel like, your marriage is blah. It's like there's no hope. It's letting you know today that there is hope, letting you know today that no matter what your struggle is, even in the midst of the rough times, those are the times when we're taking those vows, for good, bad, or worse, So, I tell people, I say, you get three rings in marriage. You get an engagement ring, and you get a wedding ring, and then don't forget the most important ring, the suffering. Forget about that part. You have to be able to endure and willing to take on the task, to do so. Yeah. So, Bishop, how can they reach you, especially for those of you who are in maybe the Los Angeles area and may want to come to the ministry, or, you guys, he has a radio broadcast. Y'all should definitely tune into. So how can they reach you, Bishop?
I have a Facebook. It's Bishop Kenneth Wells. You can hit me by that. My email is very simple. It's bishopkenwells@yahoo.com. And if you're ever in the San Bernardino area of California, the Spirit of Love Church here in San Bernardino. So, yeah. And then my radio show is I'm live Monday and Fridays, but it's every day. You can hear it online, KPRO1570.com.
Awesome.
Okay. Awesome. And now that's the internet. That's the internet for the radio station.
Yeah, that's the internet portion. And I'm on 7 o'clock West Coast time, 7 a.m. West Coast time.
Oh, okay, 7 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah. So, but thank y'all, gentlemen. Thank you so much for, allowing me to come on and just share this book. I hope it's a blessing to everyone that reads it. And I heard somebody say, well, I'm not married, but guarantee you if you read this book, you'll run into somebody later on that'll need it.
That's right.
Right.
That's good.
And they can keep it for a reference.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is a teaching tool.
Yes, it is. It is. So we thank you also, Bishop. We thank you. We really are grateful that you tuned in with us today and you shared your book, you shared your passion, shared your ministry, shared your heart, literally. And so we thank you for that. And we definitely want to get you back on later, see how things are going. We would love to do, if it's all well and good, speak to her about it, have a interview with your wife's new project, and have her come on. I'm telling you, y'all don't understand. This woman, she don't sing, she sings, literally.
If you remember, Bishop, I had Everett interviewed her about a couple of years ago.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
She's no joke, really. And so we encourage you, Bishop, to keep writing, keep writing the books. Let them keep coming, man. It's going to definitely continue to bless the body, most importantly. But I believe it'll bless people. Because, see, this book can be used for anybody. I mean, literally, it doesn't have to just be in the body. This is period. This is like counseling. Period. This is 101 for any marriage, secular or Christian. It don't matter. It's
right.
Just a great book. I think it's a great read. So I'm glad I got my copy. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Thank you, Ken.
I'll get mine to the brother. Now, this before we
selling them for $11.95, y'all. Come on, y'all eat that at McDonald's. Come on,
right,
right. Be a blessing.
Now they're gonna buy that. Go ahead. They can buy that. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I missed it. No, I was just saying, sow a seed into this man's ministry, y'all. Literally, even if you're not a part of the ministry, just sow a seed into the ministry. That's one thing that gets me too about us as a body. We don't really want to support each other like we should. But y'all really sow a seed into this ministry. It's falling on good ground. It's on good soil. It really is, y'all. Trust me on that. So I thank you, Bishop, for coming by today, spending the afternoon with us. I know it just turned afternoon for you. So
right.
So we're going to let you go. We don't want to tie up the rest of your day. But again, thank you for coming on, being our guest here on the On Point Radio Show with your host, Elder Byron Herndon, and me, Pastor Kenny Smith. And we love you guys for, tuning in, listening in to this great man of God. And with that being said, we're going to say God bless y'all. Good night. Byron, you got anything you need to say, man? Go ahead.
Hey, man, tell my sister hello. We love you guys. I was just going to say, Bishop, it's even weird for me because we've known each other for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And that just seemed weird. You know what I'm saying? For me to hear it, it seemed weird. So that's how I know this man. If you guys, like he said, if you are in the IE area or the Camarillo area, visit his church if you want to get good ministry in, because you can see the spirit on him as well as his mate. Because they don't play around. So for him to be married for over 30 years. Going through what they went through. If you know anybody, and this is what we want to encourage, if you know anybody that's going through that, you need to get the book.
Get the book.
Get the book, and then let that book guide you, and let that book help you. You put it next to your Bible. Just use it as a reference with the book. Matter of fact, when the movie comes out, get the movie too.
Yeah,
who's gonna play you in the movie, Doc? You got any ideas? Cause it's
I have no idea.
Just let me get the soundtrack, man. Come on, let me get in on the soundtrack.
You know that's right, Kenny.
Just let me get in on the soundtrack. One song, I get one song. I'll be happy. I'll be good. So
I have 2 playwriters that are interested in doing a play on it right now. So
man,
wow,
that's great. That's really great to hear. Tell you one thing, it'll be a good play. It really will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will.
So I like that, and we need that. That's real talk. That's real ministry. Again, like you said, y'all, you need to really visit the ministry because that's real ministry. When you got a pastor or bishop and the first lady in the pulpit who are transparent like that, keep it 100, that's a ministry you want to support. That's a ministry you want to definitely encourage and pray for because they're doing it and they're not allowing any issues or situations or circumstances to stop them from ministering, and they putting it all out there. So y'all buy the book, buy the book, buy the book. If you're in the area, visit the church, say hello, say, drop them, take them to dinner, something, anything. Drop a seed, love offering. Y'all know what to do. Y'all know what to do. Come on now. So with that being said, Doc, we gone. We love you. And tell sis we do love her. We send our hellos and carrying on. And Wanda she just loves. I played a couple of songs that she did when she was with, the other artists I can't mention. But
Hey, it was the Kurt Carr singers. You could say it.
You put that out there. Okay, all right, there you go. Yeah, she was with Kurt. Anyway, she did an event recently that we caught a couple of on Facebook, and so my wife was like, she was just blown away. So Wanda was like, whoa. I said, yep. There you go, right there. That's Cali. That's Cali representing right there. All of them girls up there, all of them. So, there you go. So I'm out, y'all. I'm going. Bishop, I'll holler at you soon, man. Take care.